What is up, everybody? JT Dangerous here. Once again, I am here to do my New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax 29 2019 predictions. Now, the G1 Climax is New Japan Pro Wrestling's biggest tournament of the summer, and it all starts this Saturday, live on Access TV, Fight TV, and NewJapanWorld.com, and it all culminates on August 12th, where the winner of the G1 Climax will earn a shot at the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom 14. Now, this year's G1 Climax is going to be very special because for the very first time ever, Night 1 of the G1 will be televised in the United States at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. So I am very excited to do my G1 Climax predictions for you guys this year. This could be a long video because I'll be breaking down the blocks, the competitors, my thoughts on the blocks, my top 5 picks to win the block, and my finals predictions all in this one video. So sit back, relax, grab something to drink, grab something to eat. I hope you guys do enjoy. Now, our record coming into this year's G1 Climax after our last New Japan Pro Wrestling tournament, which was this year's Best of Super Juniors 26, won by Will Ospreay, we went 2-1. So we're starting tournaments hot this year, and I'm looking to keep it that way. So hopefully in this video we will continue the winning ways and get another tournament winning record. Hopefully you guys will be able to watch all the videos I put up on the channel in the month of July. As always, show your support on the channel by watching these videos, super kicking those like buttons, hitting that notification bell, commenting your picks and your opinions in the comment sections down below. Now, if this is your first time watching my channel today, as a first time viewer, this is your first video, boy, you picked to go. And if you're a huge New Japan Pro Wrestling fan like myself and you're ready for this year's G1 Climax, welcome to the Dangerous Alliance. I'm JT Dangerous. Welcome to the club, because this club is just two. Whoop, whoop. Again, thank you guys so very much. Now, other than that, let's get right into these G1 Climax predictions. So let's begin with Block A, starting off with the competitors. First, he is the leader of Chaos, and he is a former two-time winner of the G1 Climax. He won it back in 2012 and 2014, and he is coming in the reigning five-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion, making his 8th G1 Climax appearance. And if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. He is Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada. Next, he is representing Suzuki Gun Ichiban, and he is the reigning 3-time Rev Pro British Heavyweight Champion, making his 3rd G1 Climax appearance. And if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. He is Zack Sabre Jr. Next, he is representing Los Ingobernables de Japón, and he is a former 2-time IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champion, making his 4th G1 Climax appearance. And if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. He is King of Darkness Evil. Next, he is also representing Los Ingobernables de Japón, and he is also a former 2-time IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champion. He is also the finalist in this year. He was also a finalist in this year's New Japan Cup. He is also making his 4th G1 Climax appearance, and if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. he is Cold Skull Sonata. Next, he is representing the Cutthroat era of
Bullet Club.
And he is a former IWGP Intercontinental Champion, one of the founding fathers of Bullet Club, and he is making his 6th G1 Climax appearance, and it's time to stand up and salute the Rogue General, and if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. He is Bad Luck Fale. Next, he is representing Suzuki Gun, Ichiban, and he is making his debut in this year's G1 Climax, and he is a former 3-time IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champion. He is the American Psycho Lance Archer. Next, he is representing Chaos, and he is also making his debut in this year's G1 Climax, and he is the winner of this year's Best of Super Juniors, and he is only the 2nd junior heavyweight to make the G1 Climax, the first being Prince Devitt, and he's also coming in as the reigning 3-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion and the one true Dragon Slayer, and if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. He is Will Ospreay. Next, he is also making his debut in this year's G1 Climax tournament, and his career was very well known at Pro Wrestling Noah, and he made a surprising return to Japan at Dominion this past June, and wanted to show his kind of style. He is the legendary Kenta. Next, he is the reigning and defending G1 Climax winner, the 3-time winner of this tournament, and he is the former 8-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion, making his 18th appearance in the G1 Climax tournament. He is indeed the ace of the universe, and if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. He is Hiroshi Tanahashi. And finally, you have the man that was in the G1 Climax final last year before falling to Hiroshi Tanahashi. He is the former IWGP Never Openweight Champion, the former IWGP Intercontinental Champion, and he's a lot of people's favorite to win this year's G1. Making his 5th G1 Climax appearance, and if you know his music, you already know who it is. He is Golden Star, Ibushi Kota! Now, my initial thoughts on this year's Block A for the G1 this year is, Jesus Christ, it's so stacked, this block. My God, that is an understatement. This block is completely stacked with dream matches we're going to see. And night 1 starts off in Dallas, and the first night of the G1 is going to be stacked for A block. I mean, look at the matches we're going to get in Dallas on Saturday. I mean, Evil versus Fale, Sonata versus Zack Sabre Jr., Will Ospreay versus Lance Archer. Their meeting at the New Japan Cup was fantastic. Ibushi versus Kenta, which is a dream matchup. And in the main event in Dallas, for the first time ever in the United States, we're going to see New Japan Pro Wrestling's greatest rivalry, Tanahashi versus Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada. But that's just night one. Look at all the other matchups in Block A that we're going to see in this year's G1. I mean, you got so many dream matches. Ibushi versus Okada on the final night in the Budokan Foray block. Tanahashi Ibushi. Evil versus Sonata. Ibushi versus Ospreay. Ibushi versus Zack Sabre Jr. Ibushi versus Sonata. Okada versus Sonata. There's so many mouth-watering matches in Block A. I cannot wait to see these matches. Now on to my top 5 guys that could win Block A this year. Starting off at number 5 with Zack Sabre Jr. I think Zack Sabre Jr. is going to have another good showing in this year's G1. He had a great showing last year. He was the reason Naito didn't win the G1 last year. So you know he can pull off any type of upset. And he's almost beaten every one of these guys. He's beaten Evil. He's beaten Sonata. He's beaten Tanahashi. He's beaten Okada in London. He's beaten Ibushi. He's beaten most of these guys in this block. So you already know the submission master and the master of Sabreism is definitely going to get it done. So at number 5, I have Zack Sabre Jr. At number 4, I have Cold Skull Sonata. I think Sonata is going to have another good showing this year in the G1. But I think his biggest matches are going to be against Evil and Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada. That Okada matchup is going to be big for him because that's going to be the rematch of this past New Japan Cup final where Okada beat Sonata for I think the 5th or 6th time. So Sonata is looking to finally get that first victory over the Rainmaker. So at number 4, I have Cold Skull Sonata. At number 3, I have the one true Dragon Slayer, Will Ospreay. I think Ospreay is going to have a fantastic debut in the G1. And I don't know if he's the first or the second guy to ever be in the New Japan Cup, Best of Super Juniors, and the G1 in 1 year. Because Ospreay, for me, is the best wrestler on the planet right now. I don't care what Seth Rollins says on Twitter. Ospreay is the real deal. And he should be in the top 5 in PWI's top 500 because he is having one hell of a year. So at number 3, I have Will Ospreay. At number 2, I have the reigning champion Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think Tanahashi is going to look to do what Masahiro Chono did back in 1991 and 1992, and that's repeat as the G1 champion and win his 4th G1 trophy. But I think Tanahashi is not going to be the Tanahashi we saw last year. Last year was a Cinderella story. But this year is kind of redemption for Tanahashi. I mean, he's coming back from elbow surgery. He's coming off losing to Jay White for the 2nd time this year. And Tanahashi definitely needs a pick-me-up, and this could be it. So at number 2, I have Hiroshi Tanahashi. And now my number 1 pick to win Block A, and I've been saying it ever since the G1 came out, I am taking Golden Star Ibushi Kota. I think this is Ibushi's block to win, and this is Ibushi's redemption. Because he has all the matches that he should have won. He should have beaten Tanahashi in the G1. He's going to get his chance to beat him in this block. He's got a chance to face Okada for the first time in 5 years since the 40th anniversary show. He's got to face Will Ospreay in this block, who beat him at Wrestle Kingdom and caused the concussion. And he's got so many other opponents. But it starts first with Kenta. But for me, Ibushi has to win this block, and Ibushi has to win this year's G1. So coming from me in Block A, my number 1 pick to win is Golden Star Ibushi Kota. And now on to Block B, starting off with the competitors. First, he is the leader of Los Ingobernables de Japón, and he is a former 2-time winner of the G1. He won it back in 2013 and 2017, and he is coming in the reigning 4-time IWGP Intercontinental Champion, making his 10th G1 Climax appearance. And if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. Ooh, Naito! He is Tetsuya Naito. Next, he is representing Chaos, and he is coming in the reigning and first ever 5-time never openweight champion, making his 7th G1 Climax appearance, and he is one tough sumbitch. And if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. he is the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii, or Golem. Next, he is the leader of Lifeblood, and he is the former and first ever two-time IWGP United States Champion, making his third appearance in this year's G1. And if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. He is the flamboyant Juice Robinson. Next, he is representing Chaos, and he is making his 14th appearance in this year's G1. He is the Sublime Master Thief Toriano. Next, he is also representing Chaos, and he won the 2008 G1 Climax, and he is the former four-time Never Openweight Champion, making his 12th G1 Climax appearance. And if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. He is the Fierce Warrior Hiroki Goto. Next, he is representing Ring of Honor, and he is making his debut in this year's G1 Climax, and he could be coming in as the new Ring of Honor World Champion. He is the Hawaiian Juggernaut himself, Jeff Cobb. Next, he is representing Los Ingobernables de Japón, and he is also making his debut in this year's G1 Climax, and he was in the finals of this year's Best of Super Juniors. And if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. He is the Dragon, Shingo Takagi. Next, he is representing Suzuki Gun, Ichiban, and he is also making his debut in this year's G1 Climax, and he is the former two-time IWGP Never Openweight Champion, and if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. He is Lord Taichi. Next, he is representing All Elite Wrestling, and he is coming in the reigning IWGP United States Champion. He is Death Rider, Jon Moxley. And finally, you have the leader of the Cutthroat era of...
Bullet Club.
He is the former IWGP United States Champion and the former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and he is the true #1 contender for that title, making only his second G1 Climax appearance. And if you know his music, you know who I'm talking about. It's time for all of you to continue to breathe with the... He is Switchblade Jay White. Now, my initial thoughts on Block B this year for the G1 is It's pretty damn solid. It's not as great as Block A, but Block B is pretty damn solid with some intriguing matchups. Now, Block B starts on July 13th with some great matchups. I mean, you got Juice Robinson versus Shingo Takagi, Jon Moxley versus Lord Taichi, Yano versus Tetsuya Naito, which could be very intriguing, Ishii versus Cobb in the co-main event, and in the main event of Block B, for the first night in Block B, it's going to be Hiroki Goto versus Switchblade Jay White. But you got some very intriguing matchups in Block B this year. I mean, you got Jon Moxley against The Field, which could be very intriguing to see how well Jon Moxley does in a tournament style like this. I mean, you got Shingo versus Naito, which is going to be intriguing. Just like Evil and Sonata is in Block A, Shingo and Naito is going to be very intriguing in Block B. You got Naito versus Jay White in the B block final in the Budokan, which I think it could be the clincher to win that block. And that's maybe the two best wrestlers when it comes to pacing a matchup. You got Cobb versus Ishii, which is going to be fantastic. You got Cobb versus Goto. Their meeting a couple years ago was pretty good in San Francisco. I mean, Naito against anybody is going to be very intriguing. But Block B's got some great matches, some mouth-watering matches I can't wait to see, just like Block A. But I think A Block is a little bit better than B Block this year for sure. Now on to my top 5 guys that could win B Block this year. Starting off at number 5 with Tomohiro Ishii. I think Ishii's going to have another good showing this year. And don't be surprised he pulls off some big wins over some champions. I mean, he pulled off the big win over Kenny Omega last year. Don't be surprised. Moxley better look out and Naito better look out because Ishii's definitely going to be coming for one of those belts. So at number 5, I have Tomohiro Ishii. At number 4, I have Death Rider Jon Moxley. I think Moxley's going to do a fantastic job in his debut in the G1. I think he's finally out of his cage after being shackled and imprisoned by the WWE. Now he's back to being what he is, Jon Moxley, a badass mofo that will make any matchup 10 times better. If you saw that matchup against Juice, you saw his style. He can definitely get it done. And so at number 4, I have Jon Moxley. At number 3, I have Shingo Takagi. I think Shingo's going to have a good showing. He had a fantastic showing in the Best of the Super Juniors this year, falling short to Will Ospreay, but he bounced back at Dominion over Satoshi Kojima, and he can definitely get it done in the land of the heavyweights. Because let's be honest here, folks, Shingo Takagi is a heavyweight in a junior heavyweights division. This dude is a heavyweight if you look at him. But at number 3, I have Shingo Takagi. Now at number 2, now this one's a tricky pick. At number 2, I have Tetsuya Naito. I just do not trust Tetsuya Naito winning the G1 this year because I went back and watched Wrestle Kingdom 12, the main event between Okada and Naito for the IWGP title when Naito won the G1 that year. And the crowd was so pro Naito, and he found a way to lose. So a lot of people want to see Naito win this, want him to be the first ever double champion, the first man to hold the heavyweight and IC title at the same time. But for me, he doesn't need to win it. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it to the finals, but for me, he does not need to win it. And even if he does win it, I'm not going to trust him to beat the champion at Wrestle Kingdom this year either. So at number 2, I have Tetsuya Naito. And now my number 1 pick to win Block B is the man who should be getting a shot at the IWGP title before the G1 even starts, and that's Switchblade Jay White. I think Switchblade has had one hell of a year in 2019. I mean, he's coming off beating Kazuchika Okada in less than 15 minutes at Wrestle Kingdom, then going on to defeat Tanahashi not once, but twice, but 3 times this year, and winning the IWGP title. Yes, he lost the title at G1 Supercard because people want to see Okada win. But Okada is marked, and Switchblade Jay White is on a fire right now. I mean, he's coming out beating Tanahashi at the Best of the Super Junior Finals, and for me, he's the number 1 contender. And this will just prove that he deserves to be the IWGP champion again, because that title was gonna change the world to the Switchblade era, and I am waiting to get that belt back on your boy. So coming from me in Block B, my number 1 pick to win is Switchblade Jay White. And now on to my G1 Climax finals between my Block A winner, Golden Star Ibushi Kota, looking to win his first G1 Climax and be the first man in history to win the Best of Super Juniors, New Japan Cup, and G1 Climax against my Block B winner, the former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Switchblade Jay White. Now, this is kind of going to be very intriguing. I like this matchup. I think I hope this is going to be the matchup for the G1 finals, because you got Ibushi, who is looking to redeem himself to finally win the G1 for the first time, and then you have Switchblade Jay White looking to prove everybody wrong and saying that he can't win it, and he's looking to prove that he is the true #1 contender for that belt, and he deserves to be the champ once again. So, coming from me, in this year's G1 Climax Finals, as much as I love Switchblade Jay White, and you already know this channel always represents the Switchblade and Bullet Club, this G1 Climax tournament has to go to Golden Star Ibushi Kota. He has busted his ass for New Japan Pro Wrestling in 2019. He lost at Wrestle Kingdom. He suffered a concussion. He came back. He signed full time with New Japan. He goes on to win he goes on to win the IWGP Intercontinental title, G1 Supercard. He then loses it at Dominion. And yes, history has shown that when you lose the IC title at Dominion, you find a way to win the G1. It happened with Kenny Omega in 2016 and Naito in 2017. So it has happened. But the least New Japan Pro Wrestling can do is give Ibushi this redemption story. Yes, it could be Naito getting his redemption story, but Ibushi's story is a little bit more important. And I just want him to win this so bad, because he definitely damn well deserves to win this tournament. So coming from me, this year's G1 Climax Finals, I'm going to go with Ibushi Kota to defeat Switchblade Jay White and be the first man in New Japan Pro Wrestling history to win the three biggest singles tournaments in that company's history, and go on to Wrestle Kingdom 14 and challenge the IWGP Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada. And those are my G1 Climax 29 predictions. Now, I want to thank you guys so very much for watching this video today. Comment below, who do you have winning the G1 this year? I have Kota Ibushi winning over Switchblade Jay White. Let me know who you got in Block A. Who's your pick to win the block? Who is some of your dark horses to win? Who do you have winning Block B? Who's your pick to win Block B? And what are your wildcard picks? And what is your final scenario? Mine is Ibushi versus Switchblade. Let me know what your guys' are. Let's have a conversation about it. Of course, I'm always on to see your comment, like it, and of course reply right back to me, because comments are absolutely always welcome on this channel. And I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching my G1 Climax predictions this year. Now, before you guys go, you guys can never forget to do this. That like button, comment, share with friends. Of course, super kick that like button like only you guys can. Of course, you guys can never forget to do this as well. That subscribe button to become part of this bigger and dangerous alliance. And I will see you guys next week for my AEW's Fight for the Fallen Jacksonville 2019 predictions. Later days, guys, and peace.